All right, here we go. So before my life here at Google, I used to be a creative director at Pogo. And in the process, I created a lot of games. And most of them, they were pretty good, but there were a few flops as well. Now, the hit games, those are great because those are the ones I featured very prominently on my LinkedIn profile. But the flops were the valuable ones because those are the ones where I learned everything. And I started to notice patterns with some of the mistakes I was making. And as I discovered, these were mistakes that were not just specific to me. Lots of people were making them in lots of different games. And so I wanted to share 3 of them with you today. So first mistake I often see, one of the most common, is kitchen sinking your design. This is a term I use when you have a game where you're basically throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it. And generally this is because you're not confident with the core game design and you're trying to compensate by covering it up with junk. The most common symptom is this. Hey, let's add more power-ups at our game. All right, if you keep throwing more and more power-ups at your game, that is a good sign you're probably kitchen sinking it. I suppose if you're more of the academic, theoretical, game theory type of person, it manifests itself this way. Hey, we should add some more risk-reward mechanics, because those are always good, right? Yeah, they're good, but you know how many you should have for any given system in your game? At most, 1, right? Any more than that, and your audience gets confused. So what do we do if we're kitchen sinking our game? We need to fix our core, right? You are adding all this crap because deep down you're not confident in your core design. It needs to be fun on its own. So take away all your power-ups, all your bonus levels, and just play your game. Are you having fun yet? No? Then make it fun first. Once you've done that, then yes, it's okay. Go ahead and add your power-ups back in. They're great. My advice here is concentrate on power-ups that change the way the user plays and not just like the same but better. Like think of like the super leaf in Mario or the power pellet in Pac-Man or like the gravity gun in Half-Life. All very, very nice power-ups. Oh, and by the way, if you find that your game isn't any fun without a particular power-up or a bonus level, well, that's okay. Just take that and make that your base game experience, and then kind of build up your end game conditions and scoring and everything else from there. We did that a couple of times at Pogo. It worked out. All right, second big mistake I often see, holding on to good ideas longer than you should. So sometimes we find this great hook, this new twist, whatever, and we're so proud of ourselves because it's the most clever idea ever. The problem is that it is ruining everything else. Let's say, for instance, we've got a really clever way of adding a time limit to our level, right? And so it's really neat and innovative. But the problem is our end game isn't very good yet, our scoring needs work, and the power-ups are also kind of boring. But every solution we come up with, we put in the reject pile because it doesn't fit our time limit system. Or to put it another way, let's say we're trying to make a sandwich. And we've got some great mayonnaise, but then we've also got, like, say, some peanut butter and some jelly and maybe a banana, none of which we put on our sandwich because none of it really goes with mayo, right? But what ends up happening is instead of getting to eat a delicious PB&J, you're at home eating mayonnaise out of a jar because you couldn't find anything that went with it. So the solution here is hold the mayo. I'm sure it's great mayonnaise and or time limit system, but it's preventing you from getting your sandwich or game made. It's not doing you any good. And so this happens all the time in game design. You are going to have a ton of ideas, both good and bad. I think any run-of-the-mill game designer can kill the bad ideas, but a good game designer is the ones who can kill the good ideas that don't serve the core or perhaps are preventing better ideas from coming along. As the saying goes, sometimes you have to kill your darlings. So moving on to the third mistake I often see, rejecting bad suggestions just because they are bad. So here's the issue. Playtesters are going to find fault with your game, but they're probably your friends or your fans, and so they want to be nice. So instead of telling you, hey, your climbing system is kind of poopy, they're going to say, hey, have you thought about maybe adding a grappling hook gun? Well, here's what happens. You know your game way better than this other person does. And so your mind immediately latches onto the 5 perfectly legitimate reasons why a grappling hook is the worst idea ever and it will ruin your game. And we're game designers. Sometimes we're a little defensive, sometimes we're a little petty, and maybe there's some of that going on. We tell this person who dared criticize our game why their idea is so terrible and it's never going to work. And the thing is, we are absolutely right. But here's the problem. Of course their suggestion is bad. Right? They've been playing your game for like all of 10 minutes. They don't know any of the underlying systems that are going on underneath. They're just trying to help. And so if you say, well, grappling hook, that's a dumb idea, and you move on, then you've missed a golden opportunity to notice that your climbing mechanic isn't any good and needs to be fixed because no one else is going to tell you this. So don't shoot them down. Silence those voices that are telling you, again, totally legitimately, why their suggestion is bad. Instead, stop and consider why they're giving you that suggestion in the first place. What are they trying to fix for you? Or, you could just ask them. That works too. So in summary, 1, don't kitchen sink your design, fix your core. 2, don't hold on to a good idea just because it's good. Sometimes you have to hold the mayo. 3, don't reject a bad idea just because it's bad. Look at what problem your users are trying to solve for you. Incidentally, the great thing about all of these problems is that the best defense is simply being aware of the fact that they exist in the first place so that you can identify and call them out the next time they happen to you, which they will. So look at that, you've all become better game designers simply by showing up and listening to this presentation. And with that, I'm out of time. Thank you very much.